Well, going to the dentist can be scary for some, especially when you start hearing the word procedure. But today we are looking at Dentist Verbiage 101. With us today is Dr. Malik Johnson, who is now part of High Point University's dental school. So let's start with the basics. What is the difference between crowns, caps, and veneers?
Okay. So crowns and caps, essentially we're talking about the same thing. One is a little more of a technical term, cap being a little more, I guess, not technical. But essentially, a crown is something that's going to cover the entirety of the tooth, right? For multiple reasons, wear, a broken tooth, things like that. It's kind of like a sock. It goes over the whole thing, and it completely changes the appearance of what you're looking at. A veneer typically involves less preparation. I'll say we don't like the term shave down, right? So we call preparation. Veneer typically is like wearing a mask. It kind of goes on the front side of your tooth and completely changes the appearance from the front side. So crown is something that goes completely over the tooth and provides a little more like support and strength, whereas a veneer is more like a mask and is more usually for aesthetic purposes.
Okay, and one that most people are terrified of hearing, root canals. Kind of explain that, and when do people need one?
Okay, so if you have a tooth, and let's say you have a cavity in that tooth, or you have a bad accident and you break the tooth, and either the cavity reaches that nerve or you break the tooth and the nerve is exposed, right? These are two instances where you need what's called a root canal. And in a root canal, you basically have injury or infection to the nerve, the heart and soul, the inside of the tooth. And so we go inside the tooth, we take out that infected or injured nerve in its totality. So that's parts of the root that you can't see just from looking at a tooth like this. There's the root on the inside. You take the nerve out, you fill it with the material that is appropriate, and you continue on and you get a crown on the tooth after a root canal. That's very important to preserve it because root canal is damaged. But basically, those cavities that you might ignore sometimes as they progress, that's what ends up causing a root canal most times.
Okay, and what is an implant, and is it really pretty expensive?
Um, it's one of the more costly dental procedures, but it's an effective way to replace missing teeth, especially if you have like one spot somewhere. It's a really effective way to permanently replace the tooth. It's kind of a lot of people compare it to a screw, and it is kind of something that is screwed into that place. Of course, there's a lot of biomechanics, a lot of technology, a lot of science that goes into that, being in place. But essentially, you replace a missing spot with the implant. You get the actual part of the implant put in place, and you come back a little bit longer, and you get a tooth that's most times screwed onto that. But when it's in it, it operates as if it's a brand new tooth.
Okay, and then just the last question, dentures, what makes them different from implants? I think we have about like 45 seconds, I believe.
Okay. Dentures are something you take in and out, so we're talking about something that is not permanent. And an implant typically can be one tooth. You can have multiple implants and attach a denture to that, which is going to give you a better result than just a regular denture in most cases. But a denture essentially is multiple teeth on something you take in and out. You can have a partial denture where it's a few teeth. You can have a complete denture where it's all the teeth. But essentially, when you don't have any teeth left, you start to wear dentures.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you. And again, if you missed this entire conversation, remember you can find it on our website, WFMYnews2.com.